Well, welcome everyone. This is really an historic day for Peoria Heights, and we're thrilled that you could all join us. As much progress as we've made in the village, excuse me, I'm a little nervous. I want to introduce, we're honored to have Congressman LaHood with us today, Senator Kaler, Representative Gordon, Clint Drury, the West Central Building Trades, Andrew Rand, the Chairman of the Peoria County Board, also Dr. Heath in the back, and Roger Berge, and my board, Brian Harn and Cheryl Carter and Kate Pastucia.
You forgot Robbie.
And Robbie Matheson, who's been a world of help to all of us. So
on my left, a friend of Dick Doyle.
Dick Doyle. Okay, so as much progress as we've made in the village of Peoria Heights over the years, as I stand before you today, I could not be more excited about this community's present and future. We are announcing 2 new projects that will be just the beginning of a series of developments that will not only complement the existing strengths and vitality of our central corridor along Prospect Avenue, but help build upon its unprecedented fashion for visitors to and residents of Peoria Heights alike. Of course, the latter, the residents, are our greatest asset as well as our greatest priority. Both of these developments represent the generosity and vision of Kim Blickenstaff, a very successful entrepreneur and chief executive in the medical device, diagnostic, and care industry. He's called California his home for many years, but he grew up here in Central Illinois and has family here in Central Illinois, and recently purchased a home here in Peoria Heights. This is really a homecoming for him. We're here to celebrate development in Peoria Heights, which is exciting, but I hope all of us in Central Illinois are excited about the return of Mr. Blickenstaff.
That's my dad.
I'm going to leave for Kim the honors to introduce and elaborate on his developments, but suffice it to say, these are substantial investments. I would add that the village is not being asked for any taxpayer assistance regarding these 2 projects. Again, there will be no village assistance or tax dollars used for the projects we're going to announce today. Kim and we here at the village would especially like to acknowledge and celebrate Mr. Richard Doyle. Richard is the architect behind both existing buildings and also many other local iconic structures, among them Tower Park, our own Village Hall, the Peoria Heights Congregational Church, the Robertson Memorial Fieldhouse at Bradley University. All those were done by Mr. Doyle, and he was Bill Rutherford's architect. So between our restaurant row, Grandview Drive, the Keller Branch Recreational Trail, and our growing array of specialty retail stores, I feel confident in saying that Peoria Heights is a destination spot now, but we believe these additions can only enhance that distinction in a way that not only builds towards the future, but respects the Heights' unique history. Again, I cannot emphasize enough how much promise these projects hold for the residents of this village. First, they will improve the quality of life here. Beyond that, there is a potential to grow the tax base, which could mean more and better public services for the people who live here, while also allowing us to keep a lid on the real estate tax rate. These investments will help our schools, there will be job opportunities, and this is a win-win for everyone involved. I'm proud to say that Peoria Heights is open for business, and now if you would help me welcome home Mr. Kim Blickenstaff.
You got me nervous. He got me nervous. I'd like to start by introducing you to Maggie Doyle. Would you stand up, Maggie? In fact, would you come up and tell a story or two? You think you could do it? These stories I haven't heard, but they keep coming out, and it's so much fun. So I ambushed her. I don't know how we found you, Maggie. Oh, I know. It was Mike Bailey that found you, right?
It was Mike Bailey.
Yeah, come on up.
Just.
I didn't mean to do this, but I thought you'd feel proud.
Well, I am floored. I had no idea that there was such a serious RLD fan club in town, so imagine my surprise.
Well, it only had one member a while ago, and that was me.
So I get this call from Kim in California, and the eye that he has developed for all of my father's signature design aesthetics, the brown and the orange combination. He has a radar eye all over town to see these. And
I call it mushroom hunting. It's like looking for morels.
Which was
another one.
which was our favorite family pastime.
Ours too.
Morel hunting. Yeah. So we share quite a bit of similarity with our parents. Their first careers during the big band and swing era that we discover, and the mushroom hunting. But the investment that has already taken place here in Peoria is just enormously exciting. And
give me a hug.
yeah. And particularly this library. I remember I was here when the ground was broken. I was about 3 years old and thought the librarian, Florence Fisher, was the most exotic woman I'd ever met. And I just adored her. The structure is the same. They've uncovered the signature Macassar brown and orange. It was an exciting place to be. It was a civic center here in the kids' library. And I found it an enormously optimistic design at the time. I considered it mid-century modern, and there was a real sense as a design movement that all the GIs had come back to the country, and there was a certain post-war can-do sensibility that was enormously positive and unerringly civic-centered, and that continues today with this eye that he would have hired in a flash. So, thanks, Kim.
Wasn't that wonderful? Thanks, Mike Bailey. So I'm going to show you what we're up to. I've had a lot of help on this from Shannon Halford and others, Robbie, a whole team working on this, taking pictures and getting this in. But this is our new positioning of the heights, the new heights, the village, and realizing the heights. I mean, this comes from, I drove around, didn't realize what was here until I started looking. And so I want you to realize it with me. I think one of the things I love most about Peoria Heights, it's vibrant, it's walkable, and it's a fun place to be. So the intent that I've had, that I've talked to everyone in the city, is to listen to you. I'm not imposing anything on you. We're going to collaborate, and we're going to preserve what we have, find what we don't know we have, and get that out front. And really get this to be a place that people want to come and live and work again in the little homes that are around here that used to be the Pabst employee homes. In fact, I bought one of those little homes to show you what I'd like to do with it. This is the pretty lady in the front row's father. Very talented. I saw immediately in his work Frank Lloyd Wright, who I think is a little bit too ornate. He tended, I always call it, when he would build a building, he'd basically puke on it, right? Everything, he'd throw everything at it. And Mies van der Rohe came out of Weimar, Germany, the Bauhaus, and was run out of Germany by Hitler in early '39. He came to Chicago at ITT, Illinois Institute of Technology, and you'll see his works up there, and I know your dad had to see those works as well. And I believe your dad was born right near Oak Park, right?
That's right.
So he was driving by this stuff.
Yep.
So here's some fun things. There's your mall. It was not finished. It was supposed to be 2 stories with an atrium. If you look closely, I think this is a glass atrium. So this is all that exists right now, and that's an open atrium. That is a very cool building. If you go down in the basement, you'll see all the hallmarks of Dick Doyle, the floating stairs, right? He loved floating stairs, excuse me. So other things I discovered, obviously these are on the list. I think this is City Hall, or maybe it's the little American Legion Hall. This apparently was very controversial. There were several different options on this. The one thing I know is the drawing I saw doesn't have a woodpecker on it, so I think that was Bill Rutherford. Here is a 1967 architectural drawing of what the front of this should have looked like. It has never been finished, and it will look like that when we're done. Oh, and one more thing. Glass. Look at the Dick Doyle glass here. That's your church. It is pristine. Go in it. It is wonderful to look at with new eyes. So here's some of my mushroom honey. You recognize any of those, Maggie? Yeah, sure you do. Obviously, that looks like this a little bit. That is PNC Bank out on Prospect Heights. I'm sorry, Prospect Road. I suspect it is, but I haven't confirmed it. I'll show you this detail right here on Richwoods in a minute, on Frank Lloyd Wright's work. You see these colors, verticality of the windows that Dick would do. Inside this, if you look closely, you'll see the globe light that is out front on this building. If you look carefully up the street, you see these iconic globe lights sitting on a black pole. That was one of the signatures of Dick Doyle. There he is with his cigar. And he was a structural engineer as well as an architect, which is good because Frank Lloyd Wright wasn't, and everything he built leaked or fell down. So, believe me. So this fellow is Bill Rutherford. I'll tell you a funny story about him. He was my father's attorney, and so my brother Scott would come get a call on a Saturday morning. Do the kids want to go flying? We go out to Mount Holly and fly in Bill's Apache. My brother learned to fly from Bill, and I found out this week the fellow that gave him his captain wings on the 727 was Bill Rutherford Jr. Is that wild? So this is your mom and dad, I would assume?
That's right.
This is in the Army, and I guess, did he play all the time in the Army?
The first is the band in Pearl Harbor. They were hit, and he had enlisted in 1939 as an officer. He was a musician and composer since he was 13 and had a big dance band in Chicago that toured around the Midwest called Dickie Doyle and the Melody Masters. And so he enlisted as a musician and became the band leader for the Army Air Force Band, 98th Division, and was stationed in Japan for the occupation for 9 years. He had a great time. He was cutting records the whole time. So
You have it? You have any?
and that Library of Congress does.
Oh, wow. Look at those. We're going to have a Dick Doyle night here. I see that one coming. Yeah, that would be fun.
Right on that grade.
So anyway, I love that cigar in his mouth. You told me about that.
Signature. That was just the workaday and with a Pabst and a stogie, and we were surveying the ground for the Whitney Veterinary Hospital.
Well,
Sure.
yeah, the Whitney is Dick Doyle's work, if you've been by that. This is a fun picture right here. There's Mr. Doyle. This is Florence Fisher. Guess who lives in this building? Florence Fisher's ghost. You guys don't know this, do you? When I bought it from Dave and Ginny Mollick, Julie Bielefeld said, "Oh, I forgot to tell you, you have a little gift." And I said, "What's that?" "A ghost." I said, "Well, who is it?" "Oh, we don't know." And so talking to Dave Mollick, Mike Mollick, others around, they've all seen her at one time or another. And she looks exactly like that picture. And so she actually has been walking around the site. The original library was a wooden one right here. So she's been seen in that house, in this house, and walking around the alley. It's the craziest story, but we're going to bring that out too. She's really happy now. She used to be mad. Greg, do you want to tell your story? Come on up here. This is my nephew. He's got to tell this story. My nephew, Greg Berkman, my sister's son.
So I've been given the dubious task to take over his projects, and on a Saturday morning I came in here all by myself. the door's wide open, and
That bathroom over there.
right there, right, yes, exactly where you're looking at, yes, exactly, was wide open. So I thought, okay, I'm the only guy here, right? I'm gonna go in there. I go number one. About 5 seconds later, I just feel something in the corner of my left eye, and the door starts slowly closing, gains speed, and bam, slams shut on me, and I'm going, holy crap. And I can't stop, right? I'm going. So my eye is dead fixed on that door handle. I'm looking at it, I'm looking for the little knob to turn to lock, and I'm like, okay, let's get going, and I open the door. Obviously, there's nobody there, but I was scolded more or less for leaving the door open and peeing in her property here. So, but if you open that door and close it, and if you open it a little bit, it goes right back to the wall. So, test
Okay,
it out.
Okay, are you
Test it out.
traumatized? No. Tell about the other workers, though.
No.
Oh, okay, all right. Yeah, finish that.
So the core guys, probably about 5 of them were in here doing some demo for me, and one of the guys, these guys are burly guys. They're manly men, you know what I mean? And one of the guys was sitting there by that bathroom, and he saw the ghost just walk right in front of him, kept on going, and evaporated into the wall. And so he told the other guys, and the other guys were going, yeah, you're such an idiot, come on. And so I came in here, and I just jokingly said, hey, have you heard any noises, anything happen, any ghost, stories? And one guy goes, yeah, what do you know? And so I told him about mine. He goes, oh my God, I had the same thing. And so he goes to the other guys, I told you there's something like that. I told you. And he goes, Mr. Berkland, can you turn around? I said, yeah, sure. And he goes, all those guys. And so that's the story. So
There you go. There's your story. Thanks. Well, Greg ran over to the other library and got this photo of, I think, 3 people that were associated early on with the library, and Florence was the first, I'd say, full-time librarian. And so there's 3 women. It could have been any one of the 3. And so I sent it to Mike Malik, who lived over here, and he described her, long flowing, hair pulled back in a bun, sort of elegant, long dress. And so I sent him the 3 pictures. I said, is she in there? And he goes, oh my God, and he points right to her. He said, he looked her in the face, and she looked just like that. So don't be spooked. We're gonna have fun on Halloween, aren't we? So this is some work I just wanted to show you that likely influenced RLD. This looks like our library. If you look at this right here, these little details, that's Richwood's entranceway. And they borrowed from each other. If you look closely here, this is Mies van der Rohe. This is details off a Wright building, but if you look, you see the floating stairs, you see the Wright red. So Dick he took internationalism, and he took Frank Lloyd Wright, and Frank Lloyd Wright and Mies van der Rohe hated each other. They wouldn't work together. They wouldn't copy each other. But RLD actually blended them together, which I think is incredible. So just a little bit about me. My dad designed this, and if it got a little Dick Doyle to it and a little Frank Lloyd Wright, it sure did. Isn't that eerie? There's me and Betty Jayne. That's my brother John. That's my brother Scott. Here's an interesting ad. This was for Benny and Betty, and my niece knows a lot about this. Don't you, Randy? She does. And I don't think you knew Mom was one of the Bettys, right? Or did you know that? Okay, all right. So anyway, he was an aerial performer. He had 2 acts. They would perform on this little pedestal 200 feet in the air, and it was out in front of the Transcript building downtown, which is now gone. And it was supposed to be a 2-day show. It lasted 10 days, 20,000 a day. Everyone in Peoria came to see the high wire Betty. He then went on the road, and he took my mom for the dance band show Betty. And so if you look closely down here at the bottom, you'll see Betty Jayne Brimmer, world's most beautiful acrobatic dancer. Isn't that wild? This is all fit together.
It is.
Did your dad date my mom? I'm starting to wonder too, sis. Okay, so this is who all's working on this. You see some names, you know. I'm not a developer, but I have built some things. So you'll see Greg is on there. We've got Rob Matheson. He's our inspiration. A lot of folks here. Everyone's local except for Craig Miller, who built my home in Montana, and Eric Meglos, and a colleague. Craig is in Bozeman, and Eric is out in Bend, Oregon, and they've specialized in redevelopment and restoration and revitalization of communities. So they're bringing a lot of cool ideas with them, and you really like them. I want to thank Shannon for developing this logo. I love it. Obviously, you're in it. It does work. I mean, I knew it was going to work as a community center. If you look at the various layouts we can have the stage there up on. We can put the music up on the balcony and have music for the stage down here. West Side Story. Wouldn't that be fun to have that? Yeah. So we're going to put a lot of things here, not just music, but what we'd like to do back in the back where the annex was added on is make that a professional kitchen with food prep so we can have dinner dances here and pop up. And we're working with some of the folks at ICC on that. So this is going to be a venue where everybody can bring anybody they want. We can have amateur, we can have professional. If we want to do local karaoke night, we can do anything we want. And so this is the Atrium Hotel, and these are just sort of illustrative of sort of the feel if we finally complete that atrium. But this was the first thing I think Mayor asked me about was we need a hotel. And I'm like, I know, I stay in the Embassy Suites, I want to stay in the Heights. There should be a hotel. And so the intent will be to utilize RLD's original design, bring out a lot of the design details, and then complete it. So if you look here again, this is very cool. There they are again, the globe lights. This building has the floating stairs. This is an unbuilt garden out back, and that was its two-story representation. So if you sit here and across the street and you imagine this gone, you'll see that tree from the sidewalk on the other side. And this is a city of cars. So I got this 37, what's that, a Chrysler Airflow for us? Nerd. So this is sort of the feel, this is the intent. We'll actually probably have to go above it and build a new structure over it. And the idea will make it translucent, as much glass as possible. So you're not looking at that mass, but you're basically looking through to see Larry Herman's beautiful new apartment building that's going in there. You'll also be looking through it to see the landscaping that will be out back. So it will no longer be that, sad parking lot back there, but it will be basically a see-through building. This is another project. I think I started here. I'm getting a little dizzy by what we're doing here, but I started here with this building, and this is the Gray Boy building, and it's sitting there forlorn. It goes all the way out here to the subway, and it just, you have Treffsikers. It's so nice here. But this is an eyesore. So the concept of Craig and Eric were to come in and do a combined residential commercial build here. This will hold 10 what I call loft homes, and I'll show you a cross section. So if you look at the plaza, this is going to be directly across from the nursery. There's the bakery over here. You'll be able to stand here and see through this Gray Boy Plaza. Now the cross section, we're going to go underground to put the parking, but there'll be retail parking in back, so you can get around here to retail. And then the residential, you step up out of your garage into your first, second floor. There's terraces here. And the idea that they're bringing from Bend, Oregon, where it's very green, we'll collect rainwater with the roof to water all that vegetation so you don't have to pull a hose out. So this is a real interesting concept because it's going to have thermal radiated heat in the concrete floors. We're going to reclaim wood out of downtown Peoria to give it that feel of Treffsikers. It will be transparent, literally, when you're standing over here at the nursery looking through to Treffsikers. So this way we'll have retail all the way out here to where Subway is. And I've heard a lot about, don't get rid of Subway. I'm not. I'm going to keep it. Once we do this, I'll find a temporary home for Subway and then move them back in because I want Subway right here. They're going to have a brand new enlarged patio. And again, all this access from the rear, we're creating these new patio areas. So that's why we call it the plaza, the Great Boy Plaza Lofts. And I'll show you my house, right there. I'll be able to see Robbie's bands when he's sitting out in the square. So anyway, this is just a feeling of the palette. There'll be the terraces. It'll be open up, translucent. Obviously, there'll be window treatments to give privacy and that sort of thing, but the idea is open, airy, warm in the winter, cool in the summer, and be able to sit and watch the street scenes from your terrace as hopefully more and more people are coming out that end of Prospect. So I might be insane, right? I think I knew RLD before in my life. Thanks, everybody. This is fun.
Kim's going to take some questions in just a couple of minutes, but if I could give you a little background of how we got here today. Most of you know that when Pabst Brewery closed, it created a lot of challenges for Peoria Heights, and Mayor Pitzel and Roger Berge, who were leaders in the community back then, they never let us gave up, and they kept us moving forward. They kept the community moving forward, and that's what got us here today. Good people, good decision makers who lived here. So what we did last year, we thought we needed to put an economic development committee together. So we talked to Dr. Bob Scott, who's here today from Bradley University, and Jim Foley from the Turner Center. They helped us put together best practices and to guide us on this economic development committee. And I want to thank Gary Pearl and Wayne Baum, who chair that committee for us, and both are out of town, incidentally, today on business. But that committee has worked very, very hard to create opportunity for us here in the village. We also put together an arts committee. We put together a business development advisory committee. So our BDD committee, we have a 1% sales tax that goes into a pot of money, and we let those people in that district decide how that money is spent. So it was about putting together the team first, and then it was about putting together the plan. So as I said, we engaged the Turner Center to help us, and we started having monthly meetings and talking about establishing goals and objectives. We were very fortunate to get some grants from Tri-County Planning Commission. I know Eric and Ray are here today. I can't say enough about them and what a great local resource they are. They helped us get a grant to do a corridor study, to do 3 small area studies. And, we had a hunch that a hotel was feasible, but we wanted to make sure, so we did a hotel study. And I really applaud Kim, because he read all these things. And you give him anything. I had a study that was done when the Pabst Brewery closed, it was about the size of a phone book, and he's read through that. I mean, he's a student of urban living and design, so.
How many square feet were there?
You tell me.
979.
I told you he read it. So, we did some out-of-the-box things, too. We made a trip to Galena. Not that we wanted to copy Galena. We're our own community here. But we spent a lot of time with them, and Gary Pearl provided the transportation that day. Wayne went along. Julie went along. There was other folks along on the trip. But we sat down with the mayor. We sat down with the city manager. They have a foundation there that raises a lot of money for the community. We talked to their tourism director just to learn from them how they evolved into a destination. And as I said earlier, we really feel we are a destination, but we've got a long ways to go. So we did those studies, and we started creating opportunities for us. We did some crazy things like put out street seats, which when we first put those out, people didn't know what they were out, what purpose they served. But I'll tell you, there was a guy from San Diego when he first came to town. He ate in one of those, and I'm not going to say what restaurant we ate at, but we had dinner in a street seat his first night here, and Kim said, this really reminds me of Europe. I travel all around the world, and he does. We had a great time that night, so that was one of the things we did. We created an arts committee. As most of you know, Sharon and John Amdahl gifted us this Bruce White sculptures. We have the largest collection of Bruce White sculptures anywhere in the world. We started a sculpture walk. We added a dog park. Peoria built a dog park here. So we did some things, and including in Tower Park, we started movie nights to start creating opportunity. And it was a day, last May, I believe, we're fortunate. There's a lot of people that are knocking on our door for residential and commercial development. Some we want to partner with, others we have to do a lot more due diligence, but there was a call came in one day, and Sarah told me there was a gentleman from San Diego interested in coming and doing some development in the Heights. So after we found out a little bit more about Kim, we had him fly into town that day, and we put a terrific team together. Mark Walton, Julie, Gary Pearl, Wayne. I'm probably leaving someone out, but we spent the entire day going around the area showing Kim all of the sites from Forest Park Nature Center, Grandview Drive, the old Alfresco Park, Poplar Park. And what I am so impressed with him, he's very thoughtful. As he said, he's really embraced our vision. He's not coming here with his own vision. He's embraced ours. He's read what our goals are for the community. And so he, just a wonderful partner that we're looking forward to doing so many things with. But we took him all around the sites. You visited a lot of the businesses. And he's flown in at least a half dozen times. We spent lots and lots and lots of time with him. And we meet for coffee one day in Leaves and Beans. And Kim says hello to one of the girls who walked in the door to get a coffee. I'm like, who's that? He goes, oh, she's a waitress over at Oliver's. So he already knows lots of you here, and very comfortable and looking forward to moving forward. So before we take any questions, I can't thank all of you enough for being here. We've got, again, a fantastic team of people. But there's a lot of people here today that are employees of the Village of Peoria Heights, fire and police who keep us safe every day, Public Works who keep our streets plowed and taken care of better than anyone, and of course our team at Village Hall is fantastic. I want to thank all of you. You're the ones that make this a great place to live, work, and do business. And finally, a special call out to my administrator, our administrator, Dustin Sutton, and my assistant, Sarah Whitbrock. I've had them working weekends, late at night, and early in the morning. And all of you, I owe you a lot of thanks. So thank you very much. And Kim? I think there's probably going to be a couple of questions.
Well, who's going to ask them?
Mike, you want to work that?
Yeah.
That was great.
Head to the podium.
Oh, jeez.
Beep, beep.
Do you have a timetable set for starting construction on the?
You know, the Gray Boy, no, but I think the hotel could be middle of next summer. We're doing all the engineering assessment and looking at all the infrastructure and developing a design. There's actually been some clever things done where you actually prefab these things. You never know it, but they're actually made in factories and you assemble the pieces like Legos, which speed construction. So, you know, we have a group of people that are working on that plan, and I think we're probably going to have a package where we could find a boutique kind of developer to come in and do this. Our model is the old Imperial 400 in Bozeman. It's called the Lark. It used to be a abandoned, you know, the Imperial roof line. They came back and they kept that structure. They renewed it. It looks very much like the Gray Boy concepts. You can't get a seat in that place now. You can't get a room in the Lark. And it was abandoned since 1965. So if you want to see what we're thinking, look up lark.com in Bozeman, Montana.
Questions?
February 2nd.
February 2nd.
How many rooms for the hotel potentially?
50 to 55. Yeah, it'll fit. One of the things, you know, if you're facing the mall, the one on the left abuts what's that, Joe's Italian? You can't put rooms up there and have any light. So what we're going to do is make that a rooftop terrace, disguise it, you won't know that it's not roofs, and then on the matching mall piece that's currently there, we're going to go above that. We'll put rooms out onto Duryea from there to try to bring Duryea into the hotel. And then there'll be storefront, you know, little shops and that sort of thing. But a lot of it will go above and behind. So where currently your abandoned parking lot starts, there's going to be a structure sitting there, and then there will be gardens, and then there will be parking. So it's kind of a clever way to do that. And again, it doesn't create this massive thing that sits right there in the corner that, you know, obstructs the view of Larry Herman's building, which is very, very cool.
Where will the parking for the hotel be?
Peoria. Oh, I forgot. No, we're going to be doing site development on that for the parking in the rear. There's always a chance we can go underground a bit and create, more surface and keep it low.
Kim, maybe you could just talk briefly about what you've been doing the last several years in the business world about Tandem, and just give them a little bit of your professional background.
Okay, yeah. I've always been in healthcare, and this is officially my last company. And we're in the diabetes space. Anybody knows a type 1 diabetic. You have to manually dose it, and you have a lot of side effects because you get too much, you go low, end up in the hospital, not enough. You go high, you also end up in the hospital. So that's primarily because you have to do finger sticks and you're guessing at what the dose should be, and the patient does it and makes a mistake and gets hurt. So a company I was involved with 9 years ago, Dexcom, has made the first continuous blood glucose monitor, and it eliminates finger sticks. We then have radios that talk to that monitor, and we actually have this mathematical algorithm like on autopilots on airplane that does the automatic dosing. And so it takes the patient's decisions out of it. So it's not a cure, but it is truly the artificial pancreas, and we just brought out our first version of it, and we're having a tough time keeping up, but we're having fun.
Kim.
What?
Mayor Phelan said no government subsidies, no government incentives, no local tax breaks. How do you do that? And how do you teach other developers how to put projects together?
Well, the problem with...
And with that same philosophy.
Well, the problem with developers is, it's the old Donald Trump formula. You go out and you get somebody's land, and then you borrow a bank's money, and then you come up with a project, and it costs us twice as much as you thought, and takes twice as long, and it collapses. The bank ends up owning the land. And that's what developers classically do. They don't put their own capital to work. And if you don't have equity in one of these things, you're going to end up with that every time. So I'm going to put equity into this.
Thank you for setting the example.
Good. Hey. Got to put my money somewhere. Why not here?
Hey, Kim, just one more question if nobody else has one. I imagine a lot of people, when we got into this from the get-go, were wondering, why is a guy from San Diego so interested in Peoria Heights, Illinois? And so maybe you could just sort of address why you're here and why you love Peoria Heights so much.
I don't know. I like it so much. What can I tell you? I come back and I see my family a lot now, and I want a place to stay, and we always meet out here and go to dinner and that sort of thing. So why not get a house and be here a lot?
Good enough.
One more question. Are you committed to using local workers when you do all the construction?
Absolutely.
Everything that we've been doing, we've been hiring out of Peoria Heights. Catering, food, drinks, everything. Floral is all from here. We're not going outside of Peoria Heights, so we are truly looking for Peoria Heights. And
Core Construction is doing these two projects. I'm thrilled that the building trades are doing these two projects. Another quick story about Kim. So wanted to show him that we've got a highly skilled workforce in the central Illinois area, and we should all be very proud of that. But one day we went down to the Carpenters Training Center, we went to the Electricians Training Center, and then we went to the Operators Training Center. There's Kim Blickenstaff, CEO of Tandem Diabetes, running a big piece of equipment out of the Operators Training Center.
And having a ball at it, too.
I don't know if you plan on doing any of the work. But
No, I won't be. I won't be.
Anybody else?
Can you be a little bit more specific on, when you're finished with your project, how this is going to affect the schools? I think that's a really important issue for our community, and how a good school district, and I'd like to know a little bit more specific information about that.
I can't give you more specific, but if we get families moving here rather than out to the suburbs and Dunlap and places like that, I think that starts to take care of itself, because we'll have children, we'll have incomes, you'll have revenues, people are going to be living here, working here. You know, Kelly School was there for a reason. I mean, that was where everybody was living, and now it's like, oh, the school moved out there. So I think as we figure out how to get people attracted into these almost, is it World War II era, the Pabst homes? Was that the era? Yeah.
Best homes.
Best homes, okay. Yeah, back then it was, you know, if you had 2 bedrooms and a kitchen and 1 bathroom, that was living pretty high with, 4 kids. And we don't live that way anymore. And I think people want out of these McMansions to some extent and get into a community. So we'll try a few things, try to get more people living and having children here, and I think that'll help the schools long term.
Well, that is so important to those of us at the Village. It's wonderful to have business and opportunity, but if we can't help our schools and our neighborhoods and our kids, there's no point in doing this, because this is our community, this is where we live, this is where we work and do business. And I'm excited that you have a vision and we have a vision about creating more living space, affordable living space here for families in the middle class to come back. Because as I said earlier, when Pabst Brewery closed, there was an exodus of about 800 union jobs there, a couple hundred more over at Continental Can Building, and the railroad and transportation related support jobs that went along with that. At that time was a time when a lot of people in that generation wanted a couple of acres out in Dunlap or Metamora or where else. But again, our leaders kept us focused. And even though we lost a lot of population, this is a fantastic region to live in. I love Central Illinois. I love Peoria Heights in particular. But we're going to get people to come back here and live, and we're going to rebuild the middle class here in Peoria Heights. And we're not going to let Dr. Heath or Roger Berge down.
Or a fellow by the name of Edward M. Phelan. Thank you. You're done. You can go home. All right, thank you. Thanks for coming. I'm overwhelmed by the turnout.